Welcome to There Is a Method to the Madness. My name is Rob Maxwell and I'm an exercise physiologist and personal trainer. I'm the owner of Maxwell's Fitness Programs and I've been in business for the past 28 years. Today's going to be a short podcast, but I think it's going to be educational for you. And when I say 28 years, I've been in a lot of different locations. I've been in the location I'm at now for about 10 years. And prior to that, I was in the Spruce Creek Flying in my own private gym for 10 years or so. And I'm going to tell a brief story about a client I had when I was located back in there. I'm not going to say his name because I don't want to, because it doesn't really matter. And by the way, I ended up having a very good working relationship with this client. When he first started coming to the gym, he came with his wife, and very typical first day assessment. Everybody wants, everything. They want to be stronger, they want more endurance, and they want to lose weight. And I said, okay, so let's do your assessment. And then we talked about the plan he would be on. And whenever I work with someone to lose weight, it's going to be write down their food. Back then, there wasn't the apps that we have now. Maybe there was, but no, there wasn't. Absolutely not. But there could have been computer programs, but I didn't use those. They had to write down their food for 3 days, and then I would make changes based on what they wrote down, and then they would make the changes in their diet, and then they would write it down, and so on and so on. And they got their exercise plan, and they would report in and weigh. Now, as the more old-time trainers know this, the newer trainers probably are using the apps and stuff, which are great. I use them now too. And I'm sure it's the same principle, but one of the tests we would do to see if a client really wants to lose weight is whether or not they would keep a food journal. Because if you tell somebody to keep a food journal, which by the way is absolutely essential to help somebody lose weight, nobody remembers what they eat. And if they're not willing to write it down, it means one of two things. They're lying or they're lazy, one way or the other. Neither one of those is conducive to weight loss. It's not going to happen. So one of the tests we would do as old-time trainers would be, all right, before I give you any meal suggestions, give me your food log for 3 days. Just write it down for 3 days, bring it in, preferably a Friday, a Saturday, a Sunday. And this particular gentleman, like many, did not do it. Came in, did you do your food log? Well, I can tell you right now what I ate. We hear that all the time. Really? Number one, no, you can't. Number two, that's not the point. The point is that I want to see how well you follow instructions and how willing you are to do what we ask you to do, because both of those things are going to be necessary for you to follow the plan. Now, a very, a brief story, the opposite end is when I've had people say, oh yeah, that no problem, and they bring it in and they have everything detailed. They even add things up for you. I've had clients do that. Guess what? They lose weight, and it's not because they're a butt kisser bringing the teacher an apple. It's because I don't know what it is other than the fact they really want to lose weight, and they simply did what you asked them to do. So anyway, went back and forth with this gentleman a few times on this and say, well, I really can't give you diet suggestions, and I don't think we're going to get anywhere if you, won't write down your food. So, probably a couple weeks of this went by. He was still pretty early on in his working out. He was strong, and he did everything else I suggested except this. And but it was frustrating for me, and that's just one example. This is an example I'm giving here that turned out pretty positive. That's why I'm talking about the story. But this happened a lot, and it's extremely frustrating to trainers, which is why a lot of us trainers really hate working with weight loss people, because so much of it is this right here, and so much of it they just won't do for whatever reason. So many success stories of people that would write it down and lose a ton of weight. Had one client lost over 100 pounds once, doing everything I suggested, kept a nice food log. I'd give him changes, he would make the changes, he'd come in, we'd talk about it, we'd weigh, all the things you have to do to have success. So one day, the guy came in with his wife, and his wife was, can't remember, I don't think she had a weight loss goal, so it didn't matter. And I asked him, did you do your log, blah, 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 and he says, hey, can I talk to you in the office? I said, sure. So we go in the office. He goes, I can tell I'm frustrating you because I'm not doing what you ask. And the reality is I'm not willing to do it. I just don't want to do it. I thought I wanted to lose weight, but knowing that, I'm going to have to be more structured, knowing I'm going to have to count things, knowing that I'm going to have to report it to you, knowing that I'm going to have to weigh in, I just don't want to do it. So I'm going to make you a deal. We work on getting me stronger, and you don't have to worry about my weight loss. And when I finally decide that I want to lose weight, if that happens, and in fairness to him, he really wasn't that overweight. I mean, he was actually in pretty good shape. So I never really thought he needed to lose much weight anyway. I mean, maybe 10 pounds, but definitely nothing extreme like I've seen in the past and like the majority of my clients were back then. Nothing like that. So I was like, that's fine. And, and I really was taken back by that in a positive way. We shook hands, and then we trained for, I would say, at least a couple of years after that, consistently, and he got stronger. So the moral of the story is that is him absolutely taking responsibility for what he needs to do. He could have just continued to hem and haw and kind of lied and done it halfway and half-assed, and I would much rather them go, you know what, I'm not willing or able to do it, or willing to do it, and let's just not worry about weight. And he even went on to say, I'm not even going to bring it up. Like, don't ask me if I'm losing weight, and I won't bring up if I'm losing weight. And I'm like, you know what, that is absolutely perfect, because as I said just a few minutes ago, one of the things we trainers really struggle with is weight loss clients, because so often the answers they give you back are disappointing, and we want to help people. And did you weigh this morning? No, I ran out of the house really quick. Are you keeping your food log? A little bit. I don't even know what that means. Or if you're following them on MyFitnessPal, the ones that are like having all the success are the ones that are logging consistently. And then you have those that say it hasn't logged in 3.5 weeks. It's like, what are we doing here? So it's disappointing. Believe it or not, we trainers really, really care. We wouldn't be doing this for a living if we didn't want to see success. And when we constantly get disappointed because our weight loss clients don't want to do the work, it's disappointing to us. So he made my life a lot easier when he said, let's not even talk about weight. And he absolutely got stronger. The problem, again, I have with people is when they don't want to do the work and then they continue to bitch and moan that they're not losing weight. That is maddening to me, and I think every trainer out there would say amen, raise their hand, and be like, man, preaching to the choir. Because I know what the heck I'm doing, and if you really want to lose weight, just do exactly what I tell you to do, and you will lose weight. And then you get the people who don't do it and then come in and go, well, I'm not really losing weight. It's like, yeah, well, you keeping your food log? No. Have you reduced calories? Yeah, everything but alcohol. Yeah, okay. That's frustrating because in a way they're almost blaming the plan and not themselves, which is where every goal is going to lie, is on you. We can only lead you to water. So my good client, I'm not going to say his name, he did it absolutely right. If you're ready to do the work, that's great. If you're not, own that too. All right? On that note, I want to thank our sponsors, Jonathan and Lynn Gilden of Gilden Group of Realty Pros. They can be reached at thegildengroup.com. They stay in shape, they stay lean, and as I've said before, I want somebody working for me that puts a huge priority on physical fitness. Because if John F. Kennedy said, all form of excellence begins with physical fitness. So when you really try to be the best you can be, then I think you're going to be better, or I know you're going to be better in every aspect of your life. The Gilden Group does that. Please give them a shout if you have any real estate needs. Until next time, be Max Fit and be Max Well.